behind. Remember you and I would always find somewhere to hide when we were kids.
Good morning. It is Friday morning and I'm not actually out that early. It is about 7:30 in the morning. Luckily, we've got a nice misty sky here. So I can see the sun through the clouds. This is actually really nice light for photography. And it means that as long as there's a bit of that mist in the sky, I can keep shooting throughout the day, which in the summer months, if it's a clear sky, you just pretty much can't unless you go find some shade or something like that. But this could actually be really good. So I wanted to go out, photograph some birds. In today's video, I wanted to answer a question that I got last week about back button focus. So I'm going to go through why I use back button focus and the benefits of using it that I've found. And I'll also show in the end of the video how to set it up on the Olympus OM-D camera. So if you want to skip to the part where I talk about back button focus, I'll put a link so you can kind of skip to that part of the video right away. And also I'll put a link to the end where I'm going to talk about how to set it up for the Olympus camera. But I thought I would stick to the kind of normal format as well and go out and photograph some birds and do like a normal photography vlog, but put this kind of in the middle somewhere. So I'll put a link to it for the people who are only interested in that. For now though, we're going to go down. I've been here many times before. This is the River Dee, and usually I cycle down further this field, but there's loads of cows over there and I have been chased occasionally, which is quite freaky because I used to cycle through this whole field, and coming through the end of it, there's a gate in the other end, and may remember I was photographing whitethroats there, and I had a garden warbler, but I didn't get a good image of it. But around about that time, I would cycle through this whole field because it's quite a long one, and the cows are usually fairly chilled. But all of a sudden, I turn around when I hear this kind of rumble, and sure enough, all of them are just coming straight for me. So I just cycle as fast as I could. Luckily, I was quite close to the end of it, and I got in there. But it's easier when I don't have the bike, because then I can just walk around the edges here and things like that. Anyways. Let's do some photography. Let's find some birds to photograph. It's the call of common sandpiper down here. I photographed that the other day actually. I don't know if you've seen my photo on Instagram. You can follow me at Espen Helland there. And I photographed that in some really nice golden light. Very happy with that. But I'm not going to go for that today. I think I'm going to find some more songbirds down here. I still don't feel quite finished with things like yellowhammer, whitethroat, and these kind of warblers. I'd love to find some linnets as well. Last time I was here, I had some linnets in the kind of cow feeders down here. So I'm going to walk a bit. I'm going to scan the area and see if I can find them. I'd like to get some more photos of those type of birds. I feel like I don't have that many, and this is just kind of nice and different light today, so that could be pretty good. So let's just have a walk. I'll scan with my binoculars, see what we can find, and then hopefully we'll get some photos as well. Right, this is good. I got a couple of yellowhammers here that are coming out in the open. They're a little bit too far away right now, so I'm going to put my extender on and get some more images, and then hang around here and see if they'll come closer. Okay, one little problem I'm facing now is that the sun is actually coming out a little bit, which is really nice. This is really nice light for photography, but it's in front of me, so ideally I want to have it behind me. And, you know, even though it's behind a cloud, there's a lot of light coming through, and it is slightly directional still. So the best light is going to be having that behind me. So we're just going to have to take a wander around this gorse, kind of come up on the other side of it. This light is absolutely amazing. I wish I had this every day. It kind of switches from being very foggy, so that it's just completely diffuse light, to more and more light coming through. But there's always this thin layer that covers it. Because at this time the light would be quite harsh. The sun is actually quite high now. Hopefully this will just keep going. I'll stay out all day. I had a few different birds here this morning. Just had a tree creeper on these alder trees here, just flying back on each of the trunks, and stopped by some lichen when I was going up. You could just see it pecking at it. Okay, I like this area here, so I can stay in amongst the trees. I got some gorse out there. It looks like that warbler might be nesting right there, so stick around here, see what else shows up. Alright, this has been a pretty good morning of photography. Good few birds here, some yellowhammers, some warblers, and some tree creepers. Loads of thrushes and things like that flying about, but I'm not getting everything. And right now I've just been focusing on just kind of hunkering down under these alder trees and seeing if anything lands in these gorse bushes here. And if I'm lucky, something will come on the edge of the branches of the alder tree, because that'll look really cool. It's been quiet there for a little bit though, so I figured now I'll just run through why it's such a big benefit of shooting with back button focus. So I started shooting with back button focus years ago now, and basically there's not really any reason why it should be back button. It's all, the main thing is separating your focus button from your actual shutter button. Because the default setting is your front button here does focus and shutter, and that's just a simplified thing to make it easy to take photos when you're starting out. But when you have been shooting for a while, maybe you've noticed as well, it can create some problems, and if you separate the two, the focus and the shutter, you can get more efficient and faster at certain things. And especially for wildlife photography, I find it is particularly useful. So let's just dive into it. There's a couple of things, probably 3 things that I noticed that the main reasons why I think it's such a good idea shooting with back button focus. Number 1 reason, which probably many of you know, is that it's the best of both worlds when it comes to single focus or continuous focus. Basically, you can set your camera to continuous focus, but you can still take advantage of single focus when you have back button. That's because you've separated the focus and the shutter. So I'm in continuous focus. Let's say I'm shooting, tracking a subject that's running or something like that. I can continuously focus with the back button focus and take shots. But then all of a sudden, maybe it stops. And maybe it's a deer, it stops, and I want to focus on it, but I want to recompose because I want to have more pixels in the scene. I want to get it right in camera, and I can see that, you know, using the rule of third, maybe I don't want to put the animal in the middle or anything like that. I want to recompose. So then, having that separated, then I can focus on it with my back button, I can recompose, and I can take the shot, and it just speeds up the process. I don't have to switch to a single point focus or move my focus point then to actually recompose. Another point is that something I've been going over in some recent videos is that very often I'll shoot small in the frame. So I'll have a bird or something like that, it's on a branch, and I'll leave it small in the frame. But very often then it can be hard to actually find the focus for a little bird in the frame far away. It can easily, you know, if you're trying to focus on it, and it catches on something else. When you finally get focus on your subject and something tricky to focus on, then I can keep shooting with back button focus. I don't need to refocus again. However, if you're in the default setup and every time you take a new photo, that means that there's a potential for your camera to be fooled and just start refocusing again, because you're half pressing the shutter before you take the photo, so then it's going to refocus. So unless it catches it immediately again, if you're a little bit off, then it's going to refocus and it might lose where you so carefully found actually the subject in the frame. Now, the third thing is something that I would find useful, really useful, when I was shooting with the Canon 7D and I had the 100-400. With this Olympus system, I don't really need it that much because the manual focus is separate. But when I was shooting with the 100-400, maybe I struggled getting focus on a bird. And I just couldn't get it. Like, the automatic focus just wasn't good enough because maybe it was poor light, maybe it was just small in the frame, it was sitting on a little branch, it was a cluttered background, anything like that. I would just focus manually and then I would take the image. And you can do that when you've separated the shutter and the focus. But if they're the same button as the shutter here, every time you would manually focus, it would obviously automatic focus again, and then you would lose the focus point. So there's a good few things like that, which just makes it, once you get used to it, back button focus makes it faster in the field and just less likely to make mistakes when it comes to focus. So, and I'm all for making things like being more efficient with the camera, learning it inside out, being more efficient with it, because then you're more likely to get more good images in the end. I have a video on as well, if you're the Canon system, I have a video on being more efficient with the focus system there. It's a really old one, so apologies for the audio, but I think it's a really good one, and it just goes over 3 simple things you can do with your focus system to become even more efficient at it. So I recommend that. I'll put a link to it. Now, the only disadvantages I found with back button focus, I found 2. One of them is when you're first starting out, you might miss a couple of images, just because you're not used to it. You're used to focusing the other way. But I think it's worth it, and it really doesn't take long until you don't even remember what it was like to focus with the shutter button anymore. And second one is, and that might be one area where I may not want to use it, and that is if you continuously focus on subjects for a really long time. Let's say you're just focusing for hours, and that can happen if you really focus, if you're really going for birds in flight or something like that. I noticed this when I was photographing the red kites at Argati, and I would continuously focus all the time, and actually my thumb just got really sore. It got really tired from just holding it in the whole time. So in that case, if you're going to be focusing like intensely like that for hours and hours or a day's worth of shooting, it might be an idea to just use that one there, the front button there for your focus as well, because you're going to be using that anyways, and when you press the shutter. So that can make it a little bit easier and painless if you have a whole day of shooting birds in flight or anything else that you need to continuously focus on constantly. So what a quick fix for that is setting up a preset on your camera to shooting birds in flight or something like that, and just on that preset you make the shutter button the actual focus point. But I haven't really bothered with it. It wasn't like crazy painful or anything like that. It just bothered me a bit, and I could see that might be one area where I would actually prefer not to have that back button focus. But other than that, I think it's a really good idea, and it just saves so much time and hassle. You come faster in the field. So yeah, I don't really see any big disadvantages with using back button focus. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, my name is Espen, and the channel is all about wildlife photography. So each week I take you guys with me out into the field to photograph anything nature and wild. So if you want to see more of those videos, please hit subscribe and press that bell to be notified when a new video comes out. Now though, let's just dive into how to set up back button focus on your Olympus camera. If you don't have an Olympus camera, just do a Google search or YouTube search on how to set the back button up on the specific camera that you have. I have an EM1 Mark II. I think it should be the same on the EM1 series and the EM1X. So basically for this, we need to go into the menu, and from here we go into A1, and we go into AEL/AFL, and then we go to continuous autofocus, and there are a couple of modes there, and that just sets up what do you want the shutter button to do when you half press it, what do you want the back button and stuff like that to do. So I set it to mode 3, which basically means that the back button will start the autofocus. When you press halfway on the shutter button, it will actually lock exposure. So mode 3 set, and then we hit the menu button a couple of times. Then we have to set the actual button that you want the back button focus to be on. And to begin with, when I started out using the Olympus, I was a little bit thrown off because there wasn't a button that felt just right like on the Canon. But I think the one that they've set up here that says AE, this one here. So it says actually AELAFL. So you go into B, button function, and you just got to make sure that the AEL function corresponds to AEL/AFL. So you go into the button that says AEL/AFL function, go to the right, make sure it is AEL/AFL. You could set a different button if you like to have, for instance, that F1 button up there. You could go up to F1 when you're in the button function menu. You can go in there, and then you can set, and you can find the one that says AEL/AFL. So that basically means that you would set that to back button focus. But I've experimented now with using the AEL/AFL format back button focus, and I'm used to it, and it works quite well. In the beginning, it was a little bit further away, and there's a bit of a small button there. You don't really feel that well when it's pressed in, but I'm used to it now. It just took a little bit of experimentation with it, and then it's fine. It becomes second nature. So anyways, that's how to set it up on the Olympus camera. I hope you guys found that useful and enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you next week with a new video. Thanks for watching.